Alright, so I figured I would do a review on SmallRig's new half cage. This is the 3193 model, which I recently picked up for my a7S III, and I've been using for the past few weeks. Now, in terms of selecting a half cage for something like the a7S III rather than, say, a full cage or maybe no cage at all, this is definitely going to depend on your preference and really how you like to use these mirrorless bodies and types of cameras. For myself, I try to be almost maybe as minimalist as I can, essentially have as little as I need on the camera rigged up for different types of events, while also having the ability to kind of quickly tear it down to pack away in my Pelican case or a small backpack. And so generally, the easier that I can take off or add back on a cage to my camera, the more I'm going to prefer using that type of thing in the long run. Now, this half cage actually extends around, I'd say 2/3 of the body of the camera, and its left or right side, depending on how you look at it, pretty much ending at around where the battery grip starts and the mode dial begins. This is perhaps also interesting for those that had the old SmallRig cage design for the a7S III, which I believe some reported had some issues with the battery door extending all the way. Of course, this won't be an issue here, given that the battery door is unobstructed because the cage doesn't extend beyond that, but I believe SmallRig also fixed this in the full cage design that they released for this model as well. So this is an aluminum alloy cage that I would say is very lightweight overall. You're not going to really add a ton of weight to your camera if that is an objective with this, but you're going to have a lot of additional options to rig things up to it, and thus be able to add more weight if that is some desired output of what you're trying to do with, say, handheld shooting or something like that. So along the bottom of the half cage is an Arca Swiss plate that can be used with, say, DJI's Ronin gimbals, at least their newer models, I believe, in place of having to use any other mount. Now, for myself, I use the Manfrotto 200 PL plate a lot with my different tripods and monopods, and this mounts very easily to it as well, of course, because there is a 1/4-20 thread and 3/8 threads along the bottom of this, and in fact, there's multiple 1/4-20 threads all along the half cage, so if you want to add little things like magic arms and other elements to it, it's very easy to do. There is a shoe mount that is located right above the Alpha and a7S III logo, which generally works, I would say, if you want to mount a shotgun mic or something to it. Fun fact for those maybe with certain shotgun mics, my Rode VideoMic NTG does come pretty close to touching and or rubbing against the top handle when I'm using it in that configuration. This generally isn't too much of an issue because the Rycote shock mount is designed to sort of prevent, say, if your hand lightly taps it and affecting the mic in any way, but something to keep in mind depending on your shotgun mic. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can purchase this half cage, whether it's just the cage by itself or with a bunch of different accessories. I purchased this with the included top handle and the HDMI clamp, and generally use it in the configuration at least with the top handle. Overall, the top handle design is really nice. I actually commented on this in a separate video where I talked about handheld shooting. I own the SmallRig 2094B separately, which is a great top handle that adapts to your camera's shoe if you wanted to use it in that configuration. This top handle included with the 3193 is essentially the 2094C version of it, but this mounts a bit more securely with a turning thread and a couple of pins that actually drop into the cage, so this will be pretty secure once you latch it on there. Maybe one thing to note with half cages is the fact that, of course, because you have less points of contact where the cage is touching the camera, arguably it could be a bit less secure than, say, a full cage, which will mount at different points with the camera, like using one of its camera straps. Now again, the full cage design is going to require you to remove some of your strap loops and take up one of these strap hooks, which is again why I wanted to opt for the half cage, because it's a bit easier to remove. Now, if you're wondering how secure or how much trust or faith I would put in this half cage, I would say a fair amount. I've already been rigging this up with things like that top handle shotgun mic, some other accessories like lights, or like, say, my phone to monitor things, and overall this has actually worked out really well. I can pretty confidently pick up this camera rig with the top handle without too much fear of anything slipping or dropping off or the camera becoming insecure. The 1/4-20 locking thread on the bottom where the Arca Swiss plate lies is actually very secure, and throughout shooting with it with a whole day, say like on a recent wedding where I shot with this probably easily 8 to 10 hours that day, I did not have to turn that thread once at any point during the day additionally to tighten it or notice the camera slipping really in any way. Comes in kind of a standard box with a couple of additional tools and utilities you can use to tighten various parts of the cage. If you're thinking about looking into certainly a half cage type of design, and that's something that fits your shooting needs as it did mine, this is definitely something I'd put towards the top of your list to consider. And maybe if you're also looking into full cage designs, the full one would actually be of use to consider as well. Overall, I've been really impressed with the 3193 in the short time that I've been using it here. Certainly, I'll provide some updates if I notice anything or have any different things to report in the time that I end up using this throughout the coming months. And perhaps this is also something that, depending on some future Sony bodies that get used for, say, the a7 IV, I might be able to sort of reuse and repurpose as time goes on. But either way, I've been pretty happy with this so far. So this is just a quick review I figured I'd put together now, as I've gotten to experience using the half cage. Hopefully this has been of some help to you. Feel free to like and subscribe if it has. I'm definitely planning on doing more videos around Sony mirrorless camera accessories and different kit and rig build-outs as time goes on and as I continue to experiment with that. That is all I have to say. So thanks for watching.